Hello my dear friends and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Joycey Joy and today in this lecture we will be discussing about the Surrogacy Regulation Bill of 2019. So let us start with the current affair. What is a current affair? The Surrogacy Regulation Bill of 2019 was introduced in the Parliament. So this bill was introduced in the Parliament and a particular clause was added to this bill that a surrogate mother has to be a close relative of the intending couple. So this close relative clause has been added in this bill. Now the bill aims at facilitating altruistic surrogacy in the country. It means that without monetary benefits or without any compensation, in order to facilitate surrogacy without monetary benefits or without commercial interest. So we will be discussing various aspects of this bill, what are the shortcomings of the bill and what has to be included in the bill. All these we will discuss in detail. But before that, let me give you the UPSC perspective of this bill. From your UPSC examination point of view, this is a very important topic, especially for your mains examination and also for your interview. Because in your interview also there are chances that the interview board can ask your opinion, your suggestions or your own introspection about certain bills or certain legislations made by the government, the impact of those legislations and what is missing in those legislations, or as a bureaucrat what would be the suggestions that you would give, etc. Very important. Now from your mains perspective also, these type of legislations are very important. The analysis of these legislations become very important. So that is why from your mains and also from your interview perspective, these bills and legislations are very important. So from that angle, let us analyze this bill. Let us also try to understand the shortfalls of the bill. So let us first understand what are the concerns or what is a matter of concern in this bill. So first one, the government claims that regulating surrogacy will put an end to the widespread commercialization of the surrogacy practice. So first objective of the bill is to stop commercialization of surrogacy. So for that purpose, the government has introduced various provisions under this bill. But if we closely examine these provisions, we understand that those women who are from the underprivileged background, those who are from unprivileged background, they are affected due to some of the provisions of this bill. So we will be looking at the provisions in detail, but the primary concern is regarding the government measures that have been introduced in the bill in order to stop commercialization of surrogacy. Now, let us understand whether this bill will have an impact on surrogacy in the country. So, surrogacy happens when the embryos are cultured in IVF or in vitro fertilization laboratories. So, before the government comes up with a surrogacy bill, what is more important is the assisted reproductive technology or the ART bill. So, the ART bill should be given more focus. And after the ART bill has been passed, only then surrogacy bill has a scope. This is because the process of surrogacy is when the embryos are cultured in IVF laboratory. So in order to regulate the process of surrogacy, ART bill has to be given the primary focus, and this should be discussed in the Parliament before passing of the surrogacy bill. So the impact can be experienced only if the ART bill is presented and debated in the Parliament, and then secondary stage surrogacy bill can be introduced, debated and discussed in the Parliament and finally passed in the Parliament. Now let us understand some of the problems in the bill or some of the shortfalls in the bill. So if we talk about some of the shortfalls in the bill, first issue is that it does not mention about NRIs. So it does not talk about the NRIs who live abroad. NRIs are non-resident Indians who do not reside in the country but reside somewhere else in the country, outside the country. So it does not mention about NRIs who want to come back to India to have a baby. So basically NRIs do not reside in India, but for those NRIs who wants to come back to India and to have a baby, it does not provide any provisions. This is a shortfall. Now second one is regarding unmarried couples. So this bill also leaves out unmarried couples who want to have a baby through surrogacy. Now similarly to similar to unmarried couples, this bill also does not mention about gay couples single men, single women, etc. who wants to have a baby through surrogacy. So all these are not mentioned in the bill, which is a serious shortfall. Now third one, or the third problem, is that the bill highlights or allows for a altruistic surrogacy. That means without any compensation or without any monetary benefit. So if we look at the surrogacy environment in India, it shows that the surrogate mothers are doing this because they are in need of money, because they want compensation, monetary compensation. So this feature of altruistic surrogacy has been already adopted in many countries and it has already proven to be a failure. This is because most of the surrogate mothers undertake this because they are in need of money, and most of the surrogate mothers come from vulnerable and underprivileged backgrounds. So they are in need of financial help. That is why they undertake this. So this feature of the bill is also a concern, and this is also a serious shortfall. Now, what is required, or what is required to stop commercial surrogacy in India? All what is required is a legal backing in order to promote contracts that are signed between the surrogates and the commissioning parents. This is because in many cases what we see is that the surrogate mothers, they are exploited by the agents, the middlemen, etc. So the agents and the middlemen play a very important role here, and mostly the surrogate mothers are exploited by the agents and middlemen. So in order to regulate this, there should be certain provisions. And secondly, contract between surrogate mother and the commissioning parents will also help in assuring the well-being of the surrogate mother. So this contract should include the details of the payment, the insurance coverage for the surrogate mother and the baby, and also the assurance that the mother will be treated well. So all this should be a part of the contract. Now next one is what is required, or what will make the bill more authentic and more appreciable. Like firstly, public opinion should be taken in this regard. Here the public opinion includes those couples who have infertility problems, the transgender people, single women, divorced women, widows, etc. This is because they are the main stakeholders here. So the important stakeholders should be given a participatory role here in order to consider their opinion, and the bill should be reframed like that. Secondly, the privacy of the women should be protected. So the surrogate mother's privacy should be respected and should be protected. And the choice of reproduction of a woman or of a mother, surrogate mother, is something that is included in the right to privacy. So this should be protected. Thirdly, what is required is the consideration of physical and emotional factors of the surrogate mother and the other stakeholders who are involved. So merely bringing a surrogacy law, passing it in the parliament will not make any effect. So what is required is redrafting of the bill considering the physical and the emotional factors of the surrogate mother and all the stakeholders, especially the surrogate mother. Now the fourth one is regarding the foreign citizens. The government has already banned surrogacy for foreigners, but some have already put their embryos in surrogacy mothers' wombs in India. So they have asked for the embryos to be returned, but the government said that there cannot be no export or import of the embryos anymore. So this is a situation where the surrogacy mothers are at stake. So this should be avoided and they should be given consideration. So all these aspects should be considered in the bill, and the bill can be redrafted considering all the opinion and also all the recommendations and the interest of different stakeholders. You can find the PDF of this lecture on our website www.studyiq.com. You can also follow my Facebook page for more video updates. Thank you.